All right, the countdown to the election is on. What do states, including Florida, need to be doing between now and November 3rd to make sure that they are adequately prepared? And dare I say, not by November 3rd, by the next few weeks?
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. And that's a great question. Let me just say that in my district here in South Florida, we have been receiving hundreds and hundreds of calls from constituents, from postal workers who are extremely concerned because of the policies that have been enacted by the Postmaster General Dejoy. They have real-time consequences. We know that we got a report that a mail sorting machine has been removed from the General Mail facility here in Miami. And just to give you an example, we had our primary elections just last week, and it was reported that over 3,000 ballots were not delivered on time. So this has real-time consequences. That's why the House Democrats have conducted oversight. You all saw the oversight hearing last week. I actually submitted questions for that hearing. We need to hold Postmaster General Dejoy accountable. We have asked for the $25 billion to provide to the U.S. Postal Service, and also asked him to reverse any decision that would affect mail delivery and mail processes. This shouldn't be political. This affects the lives of thousands of veterans, seniors that are living in my district that rely on fast delivery because they get their medicines through the Postal Service, but also small businesses. So what we're doing here is just making sure that locally we can bring back those machines online, although the Postmaster General last week said that he would not allow that to happen. So we just need to conduct our oversight and continue to press for the Delivery in America Act, which we passed in the House last week.
Congresswoman, I hear a lot of Republicans and Democrats talking about this issue, but quite frankly, I mean, you know this, it takes years for a state to get prepared for there to be an increase in mail-in voting. I guess, you know, why is Washington just waking up to this reality now? And why just the pressure on the U.S. Postal Service when there's a patchwork of regulations? States run the elections. Is this all just too little, too late?
Well, Kevin, when you have a president who is trying to undermine free and fair elections. I mean, he's basically trying to sabotage voting by mail during a pandemic when we have lost more than 180,000 American lives. And he's doing this by placing one of his donors, one of his loyal supporters in charge of a postal service, and he has actually shown that he has been completely incompetent in trying to deal with streamlining services. So I can tell you that at this point, what we need to do is make sure that we protect the process so that Americans have their rights protected. So for those Americans that need to vote by mail, that they can do so in a safe way, knowing that their ballot will be counted. The president is following from a playbook. I'm from Ecuador. I'm from Latin America. And this is pulling from a playbook that we have seen too often in Latin America from dictatorships, authoritarian regimes, trying to undermine a free and fair election process.
Exactly. That was going to be my next question. Whether or not the changes occur at USPS, already the crisis that we have seen at this agency, how has that impacted voter confidence on the legitimacy of the November election?
Yeah, and again, it's very unfortunate because what the president has been doing with his comments, with his Twitter, with slowing down our mail, because we've gotten reports that this is already happening, is undermining confidence in the process. So what we're saying is it is safe, it is secure. We are very fortunate to have very strong Secretary of Elections here in Miami-Dade County, also in Monroe County. We are communicating with our voters, making sure that if they are going to register to vote by mail and they choose to do so in that manner for our election system in 63 days, by the way, we're very close to that, that they turn it in very early on. And we do have an army of attorneys that are going to be supervising the election system here. We're very fortunate to have partnered with more than a dozen attorneys just in my area alone that will be supervising the process.
You know, I want to go ahead,
Sorry,
Sherry.
Kevin. The reason that we're actually talking about this mail-in balloting and this issue has come to a head is, of course, because of the coronavirus pandemic. And we know that in a state like Florida, where tourism is very important, when you really rely on those spring breakers to go to the beaches, how difficult has reopening the economy been, especially at a time when you have to also reopen schools? And how do you ensure safety, but at the same time, really not stall the economy?
Yeah, and that is such an important question. I'm glad that you're asking this right now because we had an opportunity in the state of Florida when we passed the CARES Act. One of the first bills that we passed would send hundreds of millions of dollars to states so that they can prepare for the moment when the economy would be closed down, for them to take advantage of those 2-3 weeks to make sure that they have a public health infrastructure in place to expand testing, to enact a contact tracing program. And here in the state of Florida, that was never done. We were very slow to close things down, and we were very quick to reopen, which caused a second shutdown. We are now seeing here in Miami-Dade County an opening of restaurants, an opening of casinos today, when we have more virus here in the county than we had the first time that we reopened a lot of our businesses. And unfortunately, our small businesses have had to pay the price of negligence, incompetence, and not preparing for this pandemic in the way that the moment required. And so right now, what we have been asked to do, and one of the things that I ask a lot of our small businesses, our tourism agencies to do, is we need to build trust. We want those visitors to come back to Florida. Our economy depends on that. But we're not going to be able to welcome visitors if we still have a high rate of infection. Thank goodness the cases are slowly coming down, but we're still over 10% of infection rate here in the state of Florida. We need to bring that down significantly so that we can safely reopen schools, so that we can welcome our visitors back to the state of Florida. This is a place where I was talking to someone from Michigan who is looking forward to coming when things start getting very cold up there. And we want to welcome those visitors, but we have got to put the public health infrastructure in place to make sure that we can do it safely.
All right, and just quickly, but how do you get those small businesses the economic relief that they need when Washington's in a stalemate of inaction?
Kevin, we passed, and you know this, we've been talking about this now for weeks. We passed the HEROES Act over 3 months ago.
But it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. So how do you get to the negotiating table to get it done?
We have been at the negotiating table. We have told the Senate, the Speaker and leadership has been communicating consistently with Mnuchin and Mark Meadows, saying we are willing to come down on our proposal. It was originally $3 trillion. We're willing to come down to $2 trillion, but we have to provide support for schools, support, again, for those SNAP benefits, support for people that are facing evictions. We have seen reports now of major Fortune 500 companies that are announcing massive layoffs. Our American families deserve a government that is working for them, and the House has delivered, and we are willing to continue to negotiate. I think that we need to ask the Senate, what are they willing to do to negotiate with the House so that we can put a bill in front of the president that he can sign to provide support for American families. It's what they're demanding. It's what the moment demands, and it's something that we need to provide for so many families, especially here in my district, that are suffering, that don't know how they're going to pay their rent tomorrow, September 1st.